Welcome to yet another walkthrough. This week's vocabulary will contain quite a few useful new words, and hopefully after it you will feel that you can express yourself at least a bit more freely in Chinese. We're going to go through a few useful nouns, their corresponding measure words, because before you only knew ge, but now you'll see that there are a lot more to learn. Also, we'll learn how to negate a sentence, and also a new way of asking questions in Chinese that is very commonly used. And then we will learn positional words such as here, there, and where. And lastly, the names of a few countries and cities in China. So first off, we have this character, shu, first tone, meaning book. And I think this looks like two books being stacked on top of each other. Well, that's how I remember it. So, shu, first tone, book. And we know that book is a noun, and we know that when you count a noun in Chinese, you need a measure word. And up until now, we've only known the measure word ge. And ge can always be used. But if you want to speak correctly, and you do, you should always try to use the correct measure word. And for books, that measure word is bun. Bun. So, to say one book, you say 一本书,一本书. Next up, we have a really useful word that's pronounced nar. Nar. And this is actually short for 那里, 那里, but it's more common to say just nar. And this R ending is used in many other Chinese words, and it's also more common in certain dialects than others. So we know the first character, na, which means that, and when you add the li, or R for short, it becomes there. So nar means there. So if na meant that and nar meant there, then can you guess what nar means? Because na means which, a question. So nar means where, also a question. So once again, this is short for li, which is what makes it into a location word instead. So nar, third tone, where. So we've gone through na and na, meaning that and which. But we missed the word for this, and that's zhe, fourth tone. So zhe means this, and of course we want to make this about a location, and then we just add 这儿, 这儿. So zhe means this, 这儿 or 这里 means here. So here we have a really, really interesting character, extremely useful. Bu, fourth tone, which is used for negation. But it doesn't directly translate into no. You have to use bu together with something else. And therefore, not is a better translation. We will see some ways bu can be used soon, but what you need to know now is that bu is one of very few characters that changes its tone. And if it comes before another tone 4, it will change into the second tone. So for example, if you want to say that you don't want something, which is very common, for example, at a Chinese dinner table, you say 我不要, 我不要. So because bu comes before yao, which is another tone 4, it changes into bu. And why? Well, as for all exceptions in Chinese pronunciation, it's because it simply is easier to pronounce. Next, another really useful word that it's really useful when you don't know the word for a noun. So 东西 or 东西, meaning thing or stuff. And literally it means east-west. And why that is, you're gonna have to come to class to find out. Yet another useful word is 在, fourth tone, meaning location, or rather to be located. And we'll see how it's used shortly. 在, fourth tone, to be located. 几, third tone. Also a very common word that has two different meanings that are kind of related. It can be either as a question word, where it means how many, or it can mean several of something. And you will mainly use the question version, but it's good to know that it doesn't have to be a question just because ji is in the sentence. So ji, third tone, meaning how many or several. Here is yet another noun, 椅子, chair. And personally, I think this looks like a little man standing on top of a chair. And also we notice that this ends with 字, and this is very common for Chinese nouns. So if you see a two-character word ending with 字, we can probably guess that it is a noun. But chair also has a specific measure word, which is 把. And 把 is usually used for things that have a handle or at least can be carried, but the definitions are not crystal clear. So one chair is 一把椅子, 一把椅子, one chair. So if we have a chair, we need a table, 桌子, 桌子. Same here, it ends with 字, so we could have guessed that it was a noun, 桌子, table. And of course, it has a measure word of its own, which is 张, used for flat things in general. And you might also recognize this character from the dialogue, since Zhang is also a very common Chinese surname. So to say one table, we say 一张桌子, 一张桌子, one table. And last of the nouns, we're gonna learn two animals. So let's start with 狗, dog. And you can recognize on the left side is the pig radical, which is often used for animal words. 狗, dog. And if we move down to cat, we can see that it's the same radical to the left for 猫, meaning cat, first tone. And animal words, of course, have some measure words of their own. And we're going to look at two. The first one is 只, which is the most common one for small animals. And you can say both 一只狗 or 一只猫. And the other one is 条, 条, which can be used for dog and sometimes cat, but also, for example, for pants. So unfortunately, the groups of words that use a specific measure word can be quite hard to guess, and you'll simply have to learn most of them by heart. That marks the end of the first session, and in the next half, we'll look at some more useful words and the names of a few large Chinese cities and a few countries. See you then.